What's the most shocking thing you found out about your spouse after they died? My wife died in a car accident 3 months ago. I was going through her things to settle the estate when I found a bank account with $147,000 in it. We weren't rich. We lived paycheck to paycheck for most of our marriage. I drove a 12-year-old car with a cracked windshield, and she cut coupons every Sunday. So when I found a bank statement with her name on it and a balance of $147,000, I thought it had to be a mistake. I called the bank and they confirmed it was real. The account had been open for 8 years, and she'd been depositing money every single week. I hung up and sat in our bedroom for an hour trying to make sense of it. Where did she get that kind of money? I called her office the next day to ask about her life insurance, and the woman in HR said something that made my stomach drop. Your wife was such a hard worker. Always out the door right at 5 though. My wife told me she worked late 3 nights a week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday she'd come home around 10 and say she was exhausted from staying at the office. I asked her once if she could cut back, and she said they needed her there. But according to HR, she never worked a single hour of overtime in 15 years. So where was she going 3 nights a week for 8 years? I started going through her things more carefully. I found a second phone in a shoebox in the back of her closet. It was old and the battery was almost dead, but I plugged it in and waited for it to turn on. There were hundreds of text messages with someone saved in her contacts as D. I started reading them, and each one felt like a knife in my chest. Same time tomorrow? See you tonight. Thank you for keeping this between us. I don't know what I'd do without you. Our secret. 8 years of messages. 8 years of lies. I sat on our bedroom floor and sobbed. My wife was dead, and I couldn't confront her. I couldn't ask her why or scream at her or beg her to explain. I just had to sit there with the evidence of her betrayal and no way to ever get answers, but I couldn't let it go. I needed to know who D was. I needed to look this person in the eye. I kept going through the phone until I found an address. D had sent it with a message that said, "This is the place. See you Tuesday." I wrote it down and got in my car. I drove for 40 minutes expecting an apartment or a house. Instead, I pulled into the parking lot of a restaurant called Dolce. It was a nice Italian place, the kind we could never have afforded. I walked in and asked the hostess if someone named D worked there. She looked confused and said, "Do you mean Denise?" and went to get the manager. A woman in her 50s came out from the back, wiping her hands on her apron. She took one look at me and her face crumbled. "Oh my God, you're her husband, aren't you?" I didn't understand. "We were wondering when you'd find out," she said. "Come with me." She led me to a booth in the back and sat down across from me. "Your wife worked here 3 nights a week for 8 years. She was one of the best waitresses I ever had." I couldn't speak. "She made me promise never to tell you. She said you'd feel guilty if you knew she was working a second job. She said you already felt bad enough about the student loans. My student loans. I'd been paying them off for 20 years and still owed over $100,000. It was the thing I was most ashamed of, and my wife knew it." Denise reached into her apron and pulled out an envelope. "She left this here a few months ago. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should give it to you." I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a letter in my wife's handwriting. "My love, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and you finally found out my secret. I've been working at Dolce for 8 years saving money to pay off your student loans. I know how much they weigh on you. I know you blame yourself for the debt we carry. I wanted to take that weight off your shoulders. I was 2 months away from having enough to pay them off completely. I was going to tell you on our 20th anniversary. I'm sorry I kept this from you. Every time I said I was working late and you thanked me for working so hard, I felt like a liar. But I'd do it all again. You are worth every late night and every tired morning. I love you more than you will ever know. Please don't be sad. Just know that every dollar in that account is a piece of my heart that I saved for you. I paid off my loans with her money. Every month when I would have made a payment, I put flowers on her grave instead. She worked for 8 years to save me, and I never got to thank her."